Okay, so here I've completed my video and now I want to make sure that it is ready for uploading on YouTube. What do? I go to export, click on the preset, choose the preset over here which is YouTube 1080p Full HD, select that, hit that export button. This is exporting and now I am done. Thank you. This is the video that we wanted over here. Well, on second thought, I realized that once I have exported this, why don't I understand how these presets or exports work? So let's do that together using the YouTube recommended settings for exports. So let's get started. Now here is the set of settings that YouTube recommends when you are exporting a video. You can see that there are different types of containers, codecs in audio and video, and even frame rate, bitrate, resolution and color space. Now a lot of us have probably not even wondered what these things are, and that is what we are here to discuss. So let's get started from the very beginning, which is the first one, container. So when you need to export the video, the first step that you need to do in Premiere Pro is to make sure that you have selected or not selected anything at all what you want to render. So if I have in and out, which is done by in and out, if I end up exporting this, it will take only this part and render it or export it. Instead, what I want is to render the entire thing, and that's why I will clear in and out and make sure that none of this is selected. Now when I can go into the export settings, I can see that the these is correctly selected. That is the first step. Now once you have done this, let's go into the YouTube presets and see what are the different sort of settings that we need to understand. Now first thing first is the container. Now container is what Premiere Pro calls a multiplexer. Now don't get confused, multiplexer and containers, they might just seem complicated words, but here is a very simple understanding of what these are. Now a video can be saved in different presets and in different ways, which is just a video, and I'm not talking about any audio here. A video is rendered or encoded using a lot of different settings. That encoding or that format is called H.264, which is recommended by YouTube over here as well, which is called a codec, which is a compressor decompressor. So let's not confuse too many things over here. A codec is something which is how a video is saved. Similarly, there is an audio codec, which is how an audio is saved. So there is a video codec and audio codec, which are the two different file formats that are going to be saved in a single container. So container is basically like a box that has both the video and the audio, and in case you have subtitles or captions, that also goes into the container. So basically a container is just a box that saves all of these different files together. The video codec, the audio codec and captions if any. Well, now moving on, the container has been selected as MP4, and that's what we can see right here. So MP4 is the container. Then the next thing that we do have over here is something called no edit list. We do not have that option, and move atom at the front of the file. Again, that option is not available in Premiere Pro, so I'll not confuse you guys with that. Moving on, audio codec is supposed to be AAC.-LC. Now, in most cases, if you see something with a extension like an AAC-LC, you might not always find that extension, but more or less AAC would do the exact thing that you want. So AAC stereo or stereo plus 5.1, these are the different channels that you can have. So you can have either a left or right channel, which is a stereo channel, or you can have stereo plus 5.1, which is a support for 5 different channels and one subwoofer, right? So those are the two different options. We can choose stereo over here. We already have stereo. The sample rate has been defined as either 96 kilohertz or 48 kilohertz. So that's the sort of setting over here. We don't get confused by KHZ and 48. These are 48,000, and kilo, that's basically 48 kilos hertz, right? And that's the setting that we have over here. Now these numbers might change depending on the audio input that you already have within the project. If you have something which is of 96 kilohertz, you might be able to choose that as a render setting over here as well. Next thing is the video codec. Now video codec is the H.264 format that is going to be supported on multiple different platforms. I think about a good 95% of all different platforms on the internet today support the H.264 format. and that is what we have over here. It's called H264. Now regarding the progressive scan, that's something that you can find over here. Now again, progressive scan or this sort of input would be dependent on the kind of files that you have used. If you have used something which already has interlacing, which is the different sort of field order, you might not be able to use it. But over here, there is progressive, and that is what we have available, and that's what is recommended as well. Well, next thing is the profile, and the profile is supposed to be high. This settings is available again over here in encoding settings. Now profile over here is high. Higher the profile would take higher time to save that video, and the quality is going to be safer. That basically means you will have lesser lossy pixels by having a higher profile, and that is what is recommended over here. These are the sort of settings which are not available directly in Premiere Pro, because there are these are pre-built sort of settings. So 2 consecutive B frames, closed GOP and CABAC are all settings which are encoded by default in Premiere Pro. Premiere Pro does not give you multiple options to change any of this. But everything said and done, these are the settings of how Premiere Pro even exports any of these files. Well, the next thing is a variable bitrate. Now for a variable bitrate, you can choose the VBR1 pass, and then you can choose the target bitrate. How to choose the target bitrate is the setting that is supposedly given over here. Now bitrate is given at different types. So if I have a 4K video which is 2160p, the standard bitrate is supposed to be 35 to 45 Mbps. If I have a high frame rate, which is a 48, 50 or 60 frames per second, which is if I'm doing slow-mo recordings using an iPhone, in those cases I might even need way higher bitrate, right? So over here, what I have selected is a 1080p format, because that's the format that we want to export it to, which is a full HD format, and for that the recommended settings is 8 Mbps. So we are good. If it's slightly higher, it's okay, because that will ensure that the quality is good. But of course, that will also mean that your file size is great. Quick demonstration. So currently you can see the estimate file size over here is 35 Mbps, and if I change the bitrate right over here, let's say a very small number, you can see how that directly impacts the file size. So higher bitrate means a good output, a consistent sort of output in terms of visuals and elements. Now moving on, then we have the frame rate. The frame rate is generally what we end up using is 25 FPS or 30 FPS. If you're working with slow motion animations or slow motion recordings, then you might need slightly higher frame rate, but 60 FPS is the highest that YouTube supports. Well, okay, now that is what we had. Finally, video resolution and color space. Video resolution is going to be in 16:9, which is 1080 by 1920. If you're going to be using this in a vertical format, you can choose to do that directly from over here. So you can choose the frame aspect. So you can choose the frame size over here. You can set it custom, unlock it, and then change the size if you want it. So you can make it 1080 by 1920 for a vertical format. Lastly, color space. Now the color space that has been referenced or that has been recommended over here is BT709, and you can see that color space is over here. Export color space, it says REC709. Now both of these different variables are same. You can check this Wikipedia article over here to see that REC and BT709 are basically the same things but different nomenclature. Well, wasn't that easy? Now once you've done all of these, you can choose to create your own presets as well. And if you don't know, follow me for the upcoming video that I will talk about how you can create your own export presets. I will find you in another video where I will be talking about that.